Padam Shri Guru Shri Yatha Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raganatam Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parichana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shiva Shikam Sha Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bhistam Supurakam Guraganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Samasta Vedanipanam Shri Rupa Pathanagam Govinda Midam Ujvalam Bharatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Mande Vishwagurun Shah Divyat Bhagavat Premna Vibija Pradam Devam Divyatanam Suchanda Varanam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyambunim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Varam Bandetam Shubharam Madeka Sharanam Nyashishwara Shridharam Vanshakopatarubyas Chakripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This is Antya-lila, chapter 20, the Shikshastaka prayers, and this is text number 47. So before I start, I'm going to just comment that I'm starting with the 8th verse of the Shikshastaka. This verse is very, it presents, Mahaprabhu presents the feelings of Srimati Radharani. This we're reading the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita through. I should just comment that this particular verse is very high. And so is the discussion. Aslishava pararatam vinashtumam adarshanam marmahatam karotuva yatatatava vidajatulam pato matprananatas tu saeva napara. Let Krishna tightly embrace this maidservant who has fallen at his lotus feet, or let him trample me or break my heart by never being visible to me. He is a debauchee after all, and can do whatever he likes, but he is still no one other than the worshipable Lord of my heart. Ami Krishna Paradashi Teho Rasa Sukarasi Alingya Kore Atmasat Kibana Deya Darshan Charena Mora Tanuman Tabuteho Mora Prananat. I am a maidservant at the lotus feet of Krishna. He is the embodiment of transcendental happiness and mellows. He is the embodiment of all rasa. I'm a maidservant of the lotus feet of Krishna. He is the embodiment of transcendental happiness and mellows. If he likes, he can tightly embrace me and make me feel oneness with him, or by not giving me his audience or his darshan. He may corrode my mind and body. Nevertheless, it is he who is the Lord of my life. Saki he shuna mora manyara nisjoy, kibanu raga kore, kibaduka diyamore, mora Pranayeshwara Krishna Anyanoi. My dear friend, just hear the decision of my mind. Krishna is the Lord of my life in all conditions, whether he shows me affection or kills me by giving me unhappiness. He's Chadiyanya Narigan Mora Bhashatanuman Mora Sobhagya Prakata Korea Tasabarideya Pida Amasane Kore Krida Senarigane Dekaya. Sometimes Krishna gives up the company of other gopis and becomes controlled mind and body by me. Thus he shows my good fortune and gives others distress by performing his loving affairs with me. Kibateho lambata shatadrishta sakapata anyanare ghanakorisad Moredite manapida mora age kore krida tabuteho mora prananat. Or since after all he is a very cunning, obstinate debauchee with a propensity to cheat. He takes the company of other women. He takes to the company of other women. He then indulges in loving affairs with them in front of me to give distress to my mind. Nevertheless, he is still the Lord of my life. Nagani apanaduk sabe banche tarasuka amara tatparya morijadi diyaduk tarak hoila mahasuk seduka morasuka barya. I do not mind my personal distress. I only wish for the happiness of Krishna, for his happiness is the goal of my life. However, if he feels great happiness in giving me pain, that distress is the best of my happiness. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that a devotee does not care about his own happiness and distress. He is simply interested in seeing that Krishna is happy, and for that purpose he engages in various activities. A pure devotee has no way of sensing happiness except by seeing that Krishna is happy in every respect. If Krishna becomes happy by giving him distress, such a devotee accepts that unhappiness is the greatest of all happiness. Those who are materialistic, however, who are very proud of material wealth and have no spiritual knowledge, like the Prakrita Sahajas, regard their own happiness as the aim of life. Some of them aspire to enjoy themselves by sharing the happiness of Krishna. This is the mentality of fruitive workers who want to enjoy sense gratification by making a show of service to Krishna. Jainariyare Bansha Krishna Tara Rupa Satrishna Tarina Bhaya Hoiduki Muitara Bhaya Pari Loya Jana Hate Dori Krida Karana Tare Karon Suki. If Krishna, attracted by the beauty of some other woman, wants to enjoy with her but is unhappy because he cannot get her, I fall down at her feet, catch her hand, and bring her to Krishna to engage her for his happiness. Kanda Krishna Kore Rosh Krishna Pai Santosh Sukhapai Tarana Bhartsane Jata Jogya Koriman Krishna Tate Sukhapan Charimana Alpasadane. When a beloved gopi shows symptoms of anger toward Krishna, Krishna is very satisfied. Indeed, he is extremely pleased when chastised by such a gopi. She shows her pride suitably, and Krishna enjoys that attitude. Then she gives up her pride with a little endeavor. Senari jiye kene Krishna marma bhyatajane tabu Krishne kore gara roj nija suke manekaj padukatara shirebaj Krishnera matra chahiye santosh. Why does a woman continue to live who knows that Krishna's heart is unhappy, but who still shows her deep anger towards him? She is interested in her own happiness. I condemn such a woman to be struck on the head with a thunderbolt, for we simply want the happiness of Krishna. A devotee who is satisfied only with his own sense gratification certainly falls down from the service of Krishna. Being attracted by material happiness, he later joins the Prakrita Sahajas, who are considered to be non-devotees. Jai Gopi Mora Kore Dveshe Krishnara Kore Santoshe Krishna Jare Kore Abhilash Muitara Gare Jana Tare Sebondashi Hana Tabe Mora Sukera Ulas. If a gopi envious of me satisfies Krishna and Krishna desires her, I shall not hesitate to go to her house and become her maidservant, for then my happiness will be awakened. Kusti Viprara Ramani Pativrata Shiromani Patilage Koila Veshara Seba Stamba Suryara Gati Jiailo Mritapati Tushta Koila Mukya Tina Deva. The wife of a Brahmin suffering from leprosy manifested herself as the topmost of all chaste women by serving a prostitute to satisfy her husband. She thus stopped the movement of the sun, brought her dead husband back to life, and satisfied the three principal demigods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara. The Aditya Purana, Markandeya Purana, and Padma Purana tell about a Brahmin who was suffering from leprosy but had a very chaste and faithful wife. He desired to enjoy the company of a prostitute, and therefore his wife went to her and became her maidservant just to draw her attention for his service. When the prostitute agreed to associate with him, the wife brought her the leprotic husband. When that leper, the sinful son of a Brahmin, saw the chastity of his wife, he finally abandoned his sinful intentions. While coming home, however, he touched the body of Markandeya Rishi, who thus cursed him to die at sunrise. Because of her chastity, the woman was very powerful. Therefore, when she heard about the curse, she vowed to stop the sunrise. Because of her strong determination to serve her husband, the three deities, namely Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, were very happy, and they gave her the benediction that her husband would be cured and brought back to life. This example is given herein to emphasize that a devotee should engage himself exclusively for the satisfaction of Krishna without personal motives. That will make his life successful. Krishna Mora Jivana, Krishna Mora Pranadan, Krishna Mora Pranera Paran, Hridoya Upare Daron, Seva Kore Suke Karon, E Mora Sararohe Dhyana. Krishna is my life and soul. Krishna is the treasure of my life. Indeed, Krishna is the very life of my life. I therefore keep him always in my heart and try to please him by rendering service. That is my constant meditation. Mora Sukha Sevane, Krishnera Sukha Sangame, Ate Videho Dinadan, Krishna More Kanta Kore Kohe, More Praneshwari, More Hoy Dashi Abhiman. My happiness is for the service of Krishna, and Krishna's happiness is in union with me. For this reason, I give my body in charity to the lotus feet of Krishna, who accepts me as his beloved and calls me his most beloved. It is then that I consider myself his maidservant. So, as you can see, this verse, Aslisha va pararatam pinashtu mamadarshana marmahatam karotuva yatava varad vida datu lampato matprana nata eva satnapara, of the Shikshastakam, the last verse of the Shikshastakam, which is being explained here, that Mahaprabhu is completely showing the mood of Srimati Radharani, because ultimately this verse of the Shikshastaka is spoken by Srimati Radharani, and that is what Mahaprabhu is showing the sentiments of Srimati Radharani. And that's the discussion on a very beautiful level is being shown. Mahaprabhu speaking through the heart sentiments of Srimati Radharani. Kanta Seva Sukapara Sangama Hoite Samudara. Krishna Seva Sukapur Sangama Hoite Sumadur. Tate Sake Lakmi Thakurani Narayana Riddhi Stiti Tabupara Seva Yamati Seva Kori Dashi Abhiman. Service to my lover is the home of happiness. It is more sweet than direct union with him. The goddess of fortune is evidence of this, for although she constantly lives on the heart of Narayan, she wants to render service to his lotus feet. She therefore considers herself a maidservant and serves him constantly. E Radhara Bachana Vishuddha Prema Lakana Ashvadaye Shri Gorarai Bhaviman Nahistira Satvike Vyapi Sharira Manadeho Dharana Nachai. These statements by Srimati Radharani show the symptoms of pure love for Krishna tasted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In that ecstatic love, his mind was unsteady. Transformations of transcendental love spread throughout his entire body, and he could not sustain his body and mind. Brajera Vishuddha Prema China Jambu Narahema Atma Sukar Jahan Nahi Ganda Se Prema Janate Loke Prabhu Koila Ishloke Pare Koila Artera Nirbanda. The pure devotional service in Vrindavan is like the golden particles in the river Jambu. In Vrindavan, there is not a trace of personal gratification. In Vrindavan, there is not a trace of personal sense gratification. It is to advertise such pure love in this material world that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has written the previous verse and explained its meaning. This verse referred to here is text 47th, 8th verse of the Shikshastaka. Emata Mahaprabhu Bhava Vishtahana Pralapa Korila Tat Tat Shloka Pariya. Thus overwhelmed by ecstatic love, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke like a madman and recited suitable verses. Purve Ashta Shloka Koriloke Shikadila Se Ashta Shlokara Arta Apane Ashwadila. The Lord had formerly composed these 8 verses, that's the Shikshastaka, to teach people in general. The Lord had formerly composed these 8 verses to teach people in general. He personally tasted the meaning of the verses, which are called the Shikshastaka. Prabhura Shikshastaka Shloka Jaypade Shune Krishna Prema Bhakti Tarab Mare Dine Dine. If anyone recites or hears these 8 verses of instruction by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his ecstatic love and devotion for Krishna increase day by day. Jajjapiya Prabhu Kote Samudra Gambir Nanabhava Chandrodoye Hoyena Astir. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is as deep and grave as millions of oceans, when the moon of his various emotions rises, he becomes restless. Jai Jai Shloka Jayadeva Bhagavate Rayara Natake Jai Arag Karnamrita Se Babe Shloka Koriya Patane Se Baba Beshe Korana Ashwarane. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu read the verses of Jayadev Goswami's Gita-Govinda, of Srimad Bhagavatam, of Ramananda Ray's drama Jagannath-vallabha-nataka, and of Bilvamangal Thakur's Krishna-karnamrita, he was overwhelmed by the various ecstatic emotions of those verses. Thus he tasted their purports. Dwadasha Vatsara Aiche Dasha Ratri Dine Krishna Rasa Shwadaye Dui Bandhusane. For 12 years, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remained in that state day and night. With his two friends, he tasted the meaning of those verses which consist of nothing but the transcendental bliss and mellows of Krishna consciousness. So for 12 years, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remained in that state day and night with his 2 friends, Ramananda Raya and Swarup Damodar. He tasted the meaning of those verses, which consist of nothing but the Krishna Rasa, the transcendental bliss and mellows of Krishna consciousness. Se sab lila rasa apane ananta sahasrabarane barni nahi pana anta. Even Anantadev, who has thousands of faces, could not reach the end of describing the transcendental bliss of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. Jiva kudra buddhi kon taha pare barnite tar ek kana sparshi apana shodite. How then could an ordinary living being with very little intelligence describe such pastimes? Nevertheless, I'm trying to touch but a particle of them just to purify or rectify myself. Jata chesta jata pralap nahi parabar se sabarnite granta hoy shubishtar. There is no limit to Mahaprabhu's activities and his words of madness. Therefore, describing them all would greatly increase the size of this book. Vrindavanadas Pratama, Jai Lila Barnila, Se Sab Lila Rami, Sutra Mantra Koila. Whatever pastime Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has first described, I have merely summarized. Tara Tyakta Base Sankepe Kohila, Lila Rabahuye Granta Tatapi Barila. I have only very briefly described the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not described by Vrindavan Das Thakur. Nevertheless, because those transcendental pastimes are so numerous, the size of this book has increased. Ateva se sab linana paribarni bare samapte korilun lila ke kore namaskare. It is impossible to describe all the pastimes elaborately. I shall therefore end this description and offer them my respectful obeisances. It is impossible to describe all the pastimes elaborately. I shall therefore end this description and offer them my respectful obeisances. Je kichu kohilun e digdarshan e anusare habitara ashwadan. What I have described gives merely an indication, but by following this indication, one may obtain a taste of all the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhura Gambira Leela Napari Bhujite Bude Pravesha Nahitate Napari Marnite. I cannot understand the very deep, meaningful pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. My intelligence cannot penetrate them, and therefore I could not properly describe them. Sabshrota Vaishnavara Bandhiya Charan Chaitanya Charitamrita Varnan Koilun Samapan. After offering my respectful obeisances to the lotus feet of all my Vaishnav readers, I shall therefore end this description of the characteristics of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Akashanantatate Jaichi Pakigan Jarajata Shakti Tata Kori Arohan. The sky is unlimited, but many birds fly higher and higher according to their own abilities. A bird can fly in that unlimited sky. How high? According to one's own abilities. Aichima Prabhur Lila Nahi Orpar Jibahana Keba Samyak Pare Barnibar. The pastimes of Mahaprabhu are like the unlimited sky. How then can an ordinary living being describe them all? Javat Buddher Gati Tateka Varnilun Samudrara Madhye Jena Ekkana Shunilun. I have tried to describe them as far as my intelligence allows, as if trying to touch a drop in the midst of a great ocean. Nityananda Kripa Patra Vrindavanadas Chaitanya Lilaya Teho Hoyana Adibhyas. Vrindavan Das Thakur is Lord Krishna's favorite devotee. Vrindavan Das Thakur is Vrindavan Das Thakur is Lord Nityananda's favorite devotee, and therefore he is the original Vyasadeva in describing the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Vrindavan Das Thakur is Lord Nityananda's favorite devotee, and therefore he is the original Vyasadeva in describing the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that all writers after Vrindavan Das Thakur who are pure devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and who have tried to describe the Lord's activities are to be considered like Vyasa. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur is the original Vyasadeva in describing Chaitanya-lila, and all others who follow in his footsteps by describing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes are also to be considered Vyasadeva. The bona fide spiritual master is called Vyas because he is a representative of Vyasa. Worshipping the birthday of such a spiritual master is called Vyas Puja. Tar age jajapi sab lilara bandar tatapi alpa bharniya chadilena ar. Although Vrindavan Das Thakur has written has within his jurisdiction the full store of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. He has left aside most of them and described but a small portion. Jai Kichu Barnilun Seho Sankepak Korea Likite Naparan Tabu Rocky Jachin Likia. What I have described was left aside by Vrindavandas Thakur, but although he could not describe these pastimes, he gave us a synopsis. He gave us a synopsis, a summary of what he did describe. Chaitanya Mangale Teho Liki Jache Stane Stane Sebachana Shuna Se Parama Brahmane. In his book named Chaitanya Mangal, which later became Chaitanya Bhagavat, in his book Chaitanya Mangal, Chaitanya Bhagavat, he has described these pastimes in many places. I request my readers to hear that book, for that is the best evidence. Sankepi Kohilun Vistar Najai Katane Vistariya Veda Vyasa Koriva Varnane. I have described the pastimes very briefly, for it is impossible for me to describe them in full. In the future, however, Vyasadeva will describe them elaborately. Chaitanya Mangale Iha Liki Jache Stane Stane Satyakohen Age Vyasa Koriva Varnane. In the Chaitanya Mangal, Srila Vrindavandas Thakur has stated in many places the factual truth. Then in the future, Vyasadeva will describe the Lord's pastimes elaborately. And that Vyasadeva is Krishnadas Kaviraj, who's giving us the Chaitanya Charitamrita. The statement Age Vyasa Koribal Varnane is similar to a text in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, in which Vrindavandas Thakur says, Seshakande Chaitanyara Ananta Bilas Vistariya Varnite Achen Vedavyas. The unlimited pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be described by Vyasadeva in the future. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that these statements indicate that in the future other representatives of Vyasadeva will elaborately describe Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. The purport is that any pure devotee in the disciplic succession who describes the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is confirmed to be a representative of Vyasadeva. Chaitanya Lilamrita Sindhu Dugdabdi Shaman Trishna Trisha Nurupa Jari Bhari Teho Koilapan. The ocean of nectarian pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like the ocean of milk. According to his thirst, Vrindavandas Thakur filled his pitcher and drank from that ocean. Tarajadi Seishamrita Kichum Moradila Tatake Barila Peta Trishna Moragela. Whatever remnants of milk Vrindavandas Thakur has given me are sufficient to fill my belly. Now my thirst is completely satiated. Ami ati kudra jiva paki rangatuni se jaiche trishnaya piye samudrarapani taichiami ekana chunilun lilara he drishtante janiya prabora lilara vistara. I am a very insignificant living being, like a small red-beaked bird. Just as such a bird drinks the water of the sea to quench its thirst, so I have touched only a drop of the ocean of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. From this example, you may all understand how expansive are the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Amiliki ek mitya koryanuman Amara Sharira Kashta Putali Saman. I infer that I have written as a false understanding, for my body is like a wooden doll. Brida Jaraturami Anda Badir Hashta Halemano Budi Nahimorastir. Brida Jaraturami Anda Badir Hasta hale mano buddhi narima morastir. I am old and troubled by invalidity. I am almost blind and deaf. My hands tremble and my mind and intelligence are unsteady. Nanaroga grasta chalite bashite napari. Pancharoga pida vyakula ratri dine mari. I am infected with so many diseases that I can neither properly walk nor properly sit. Indeed, I am exhausted by 5 kinds of diseases. I may die at any time of the day or night. Purve grande iha korijache nivedan tatapi likiye shuna iharakaran. I have previously given an account of my inabilities. Please hear the reason why I nevertheless still write. Sri Govinda, Sri Chaitanya, Sri Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Sri Bhakta, Ara Sri Shrotri Brinda, Sri Swarup, Sri Rupa, Sri Janardan, Sri Raghunath Das, Sri Guru, Sri Jiva Charan, Iha Sabar Charana Kripai, Lekaya Amare, Ama Ek Hoi Teho Ati Kripa Kore. I am writing this book by the mercy of the Lord. I'm writing this book by the mercy of the lotus feet of Sri Govinda Dev, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda, Advaitacharya, other devotees and the readers of this book, as well as Swarup Damodar Goswami and Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, who is my spiritual master, and Sri Jiva Goswami. I've also been specifically favored by another Supreme Personality. Shri Madana Gopala More Lekaya Agyakori Kahitena Jujai Tabu Rohitena Pari. Shri Madan Mohan deity of Vrindavan has given the order that is making me write. Although this should not be disclosed, I disclose it because I am unable to remain silent. Na kohile hoi mora krita nata dosh damba kori boli shrota na koriya rosh. If I did not disclose this fact, I would be guilty of ingratitude to the Lord. Therefore, my dear readers, please do not consider me too proud and be angry at me. Toma sabar charana duli korinu bandan tate Chaitanya-lila hoila je kichu ligan. It is because I have offered my prayers unto the lotus feet of all of you that whatever I have written about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has been possible. Ebe Antya-lila ganera kori anubara koile pai lila ashwad. Now let me repeat all the pastimes of the Antya-lila, for if I do so, I shall taste the pastimes again. So to hear all the resume of all the pastimes, I'm going to begin with those pastimes resume tomorrow. So we'll end at this point, and tomorrow we'll hear Vrindavan Das Thakur's resume of all the pastimes included in the Antya-lila, and so that'll be tomorrow. Now I'm going to sing Hari Haraya. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jayadev Nama. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jayadev Nama. Jayadev Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Jayadev Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan. Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra, Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra, Gadadara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Gadadara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath, H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan, H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan, Jao Ete Vignana Shabishta Puran, Jao Ete Vignana Shabishta Puran, H.I. Gosai Jar Mui Taradas, H.I. Gosai Jar Mui Taradas, Tasabar Padarenu Mora Panchagras, Tasabar Padarenu Mora Panchagras, Tader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas, Tader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas, Janame Janame More Abilas, Janame Janame More Abilas, H.I. Gosai Jabe Branche Koilabas, H.I. Gosai Jabe Branche Koilabas, Radha Krishna Antya-lila Korila Prakash, Radha Krishna Antya-lila Korila Prakash, Anande Bolo Hare Bansha Vrindavan, Anande Bolo Hare Bansha Vrindavan, Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Manjayi Aman, Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Manjayi Aman, Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koryas, Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koryas, Harinam Sankirtana Koheb Naratamudas, Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamudas, Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koryas, Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koryas, Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamudas, Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamudas, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Haribo. 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 Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhare Juki Jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramasa Paravajaka Charyashta Tara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramasa Paravajaka Charyashta Tara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramansa Paravajaka Charyashta Tara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopal Bhattadash Raghunath, Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Premsigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri, Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Jayom Vishnupad Vishvavarenya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, all the assembled devotees Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.